Hi, I'm Lee Jenkins. We're going to talk about fractions today. Some of the people listening to this remember how much they hated fractions as a kid, and some are going to think this is simple. What's the issue? But we can have greater success with all of our students in fractions than we ever thought possible. Here we go. So, why are so many students frustrated with learning fractions? Why is this happening? The reason is there's no bridge between understanding the concept of a fraction and then to add, subtract, multiply, and divide. What we're going to do today is teach the bridge. It's so important. So we don't go from what a fraction is all about to immediately add, subtract, multiply, and divide. No, there's a bridge. And the students are using the manipulatives to add, subtract, multiply, and divide without understanding common denominators at this point in time. We have fraction slices, and we have a book. The book is like all of the books that we publish. They have a QR code in the back. You download the worksheets, not the directions, but the worksheets, and you have them for your whole career. And then the slices, which are made with plexiglass. They need some thickness in order to do the subtraction, and they need to be transparent somewhat so that we can do the multiplication. They're designed exactly as they need to be for add, subtract, multiply, and divide fractions. The first things the students do is identify the colors. What color is the one slice? What color is the half, the third, the fourth? So they can refer to it when they're doing fraction assignments later on, when the pages have been duplicated for them and they're doing the fractions. What comes next is what you'd expect. There's the greater than, less than, and equal. A third is equal to how many sixths? A third is equal to how many twelfths? 3/3 is equal to how many sixths? It goes on and on. But students need these. They don't get a formula. They don't divide something into something and multiply by something. Not yet. They're just looking at it. A third, pick up a third slice, pick up the 6 slices. How many 6 slices fit on top of the third? Now we've got a third and a 12th. Okay, so a third equals how many twelfths? Okay, so you put a third down, put twelfths on, you count them, and you write down the 4. So our students are struggling the most and are most nervous about learning fractions start off very successfully. Then we're going to add. This is the crazy part. The first addition problem that kids do are not with common denominators. They're with uncommon denominators. The question is 1/3 plus 1/6. What do we say to the kids? We say adding means putting things together, just like you've always done. You just put things together. It's always been that way since kindergarten. You put things together. So now that you're in 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th grade, you pick up the 3rd and the 6th and you put them on the table side by side. Put them together. The direction is this. You got it? Because we're not talking about common denominators. Say, cover up the 2 fraction slices here with as many pieces as you want or need. As many pieces as you want or need, but only one color. That's how we get around the common denominator issue from the very beginning. We'll learn it later. But for right now, they need to understand what it's all about. And almost always, the kids see a 3rd and a 6 side by side, and they reach over and pick up the green half, put on top, and they write down 1/2 on their paper. That's the way it is all the way through. One of the funniest ones is watching them do a 3rd plus a 4th. They try all kinds of things until they finally realize that 12ths is all that's going to work, and they put 7/12ths on top of the 3rd and the 4th and write down the answer. We're going to move into subtraction. Now, there's 2 concepts of subtraction. We know that from our word problems and some things we do. One concept of subtraction is takeaway. If you have this and you take away this, how much is left? The other concept in subtraction is comparison. How much bigger is one than the other? If you ask how much taller is one person than another person, you're not cutting off feet. No, you don't cut it. You're just comparing. So when we do subtraction with the fraction slices, we're doing comparison. It's the first question here is 3/4 minus the half. So you put 3/4 down, you put a half on top. How much bigger is 3/4 than a half? And whatever fills in that empty space, using only one color, remember that, just using one color, is the answer. Then they go to the next one. They get the 9/12. They put the half on top. What fills in that empty space? Use only one color. Write down the answer. But usually the fraction slices work with about 4 kids at a time in a center, and they just whip on through those pages, feeling so good about what they're accomplishing. Next, we come to division. Division? Why division? Well, because it's actually the easiest. It's easier than add and subtract. I will not forget, many years ago, was in a fairly wealthy school district. They had their in-house exam, and there were 2 division of fraction questions for 6th graders. One question was a fifth divided by a fifth. The other question was a half divided by a fourth. 90% of the 6th graders missed the question. They couldn't remember what they were to turn upside down and what they were to do, and they missed it. It's such an easy question. A fifth goes into a fifth one time. A fourth goes into a half twice. That's how simple it is. So when they start off here and you look at the first question you've got there, a third divided by a sixth. A sixth fits into a third how many times? Twice. You write it just a big 2. First they want to make a fraction out of it. No, it's not a fraction. It's how many times does it go in? It goes in twice. And then you've got on here a 2/8 divided by a fourth. Well, put down 2/8, the fourth, a fourth goes into 2/8 one time. That's it. It's so simple to give them the initial concept, a division of fractions. There is a concept later in the book when it gets more difficult. Instead of how many times does a fourth go into a half, the question, when you turn it around and you say 1/4 divided by half, the question is how much of a half can fit into a fourth? And it's half of it. So, but this initial success is what we need, so the kids are eager to do fractions now without the fraction slices, so they can learn how to do it with pencil and paper alone. Multiplication. We've taught them that multiplication with whole numbers makes rectangles and squares. If you got a zigzag, it's not multiplication. No, multiplication always makes rectangles and squares. So if you take the problem 3 times 2, you make a rectangle that's 3 by 2, and there's 6 of them. Now with fraction slices, if it's a third times a half, you lie down 2 halves. Then you go in the other direction. You've got the thirds. So you've got the halves that are going horizontally, the thirds going vertically. And what does it make? It makes pieces that are worth 1/6. They're 1/6 of the one fraction slice. They're 1/6 of it. And so then when we go into multiplication, the kids know that when you multiply, there it is, halves times thirds, you're making 6th. And you lie down the halves, you lie down 2/3. You know all those little rectangles are 6, but how many are there that are overlapped? And there's 2 of them. Multiplication is so easy to get the right answer. So easy. But after they've been successful, in quotes, in fractions for a couple of years, then they say, how come when you multiply fractions, you get a smaller number? That should be understood from the very beginning. That's what we're doing. We're showing them what it looks like, how to get the answer, and of course that will be very easy for them to later on get the correct answer. Like any other book, Fraction Slices ends with connecting all the pieces together. We've got 2 fractions, we're going to add them, we're going to subtract them, we're going to multiply them and divide them. That's kind of the culmination, what it looks like. But now, when children have been through in 3rd, 4th grade, maybe even 2nd, they are ready in 5th and 6th grade for the abstract explanations. Without that, they are not ready. So secondary math teachers dream that they'll receive someday all their students with a deep understanding of fractions. We can do this. There's more ways to do fractions, similar to what we've done with fraction slices. None of them are as complete for that bridge, but we do fractions with Tangrams, Geo-Boards, pattern blocks, and Geo-Blocks, and all of those together build an extremely strong understanding of fractions. There they are, the fraction slices, and then the fraction book. So it's how do we create math experts with fraction slices? If you look at the website, www.crazysimpleeducation.com, you will see them listed there. Um, I work with those almost every week with children, and I can tell you, you've got a lot of joy ahead of you. Thank you for listening.